for her opening statement.
Thank you, Chairman Jordan. Nobody disputes the important role of congressional oversight. I know firsthand how important it is to ask questions and demand answers of the federal government. In the ordinary course of business, that work informs the legislative process. In extraordinary times, when misconduct in the executive branch threatens to undermine our democratic institutions, congressional oversight can serve to protect the integrity of our republic. For example, I'm proud of the role I played as an impeachment manager in the second impeachment of President Donald Trump in the aftermath of the attack on the Capitol. That bipartisan work was both a measure of accountability and a sign to the American people that Congress had no intention of being bullied into giving up on a peaceful transfer of power. But there is a difference, my colleagues, between legitimate oversight and weaponization of Congress and our processes, particularly our committee work, as a political tool. I'm deeply concerned about the use of this select subcommittee as a place to settle scores, showcase conspiracy theories, and advance an extreme agenda that risk undermining Americans' faith in our democracy. Some of today's witnesses would have us believe that the Department of Justice and the Federal Bureau of Investigation are part of a deep state cabal. One even wrote a book describing the FBI itself as a threat to democracy. The Department of Justice and the FBI do not always get it right. History is full of examples of these agencies getting it very, very wrong. We have colleagues in this Congress who have been subject to politically motivated, hateful, racist investigations by our government. That does not logically follow that every investigation or criminal inquiry by the FBI or the Department of Justice is political or ideologically based. But in our current climate, with domestic terrorism on the rise and hate speech normalized by national politicians, the Department of Justice and the FBI are doing their best to protect us from sliding into chaos. This past Monday, the FBI captured 2 individuals, one a neo-Nazi leader and founder of an Anti-Waffen group who were plotting a racially motivated attack on Baltimore's power grid. They said their goal was to, quote, completely destroy this whole city, end quote. Last week, the FBI infiltrated and disrupted a major cyber criminal group extorting schools, hospitals, and critical infrastructure around the world. And last summer, the FBI engaged in a mass violent crime enforcement effort that took nearly 6,000 violent criminals off of our American streets. Let's not forget the tremendous work of the FBI and the Department of Justice after the attacks on our homeland on September 11th, 2001. Some of my Republican colleagues love to talk about the threat of violent crime, but they appear oblivious to the fact that their dangerous rhetoric and baseless accusations against the Justice Department and FBI itself at times pose a direct threat to those organizations' ability to do the work that they are doing to protect our communities. Recent threat bulletins have highlighted a shocking increase in threats of violence against law enforcement agencies and a significant uptick after the FBI executed a search warrant at President Trump's property at Mar-a-Lago. The Federal Law Enforcement Officers Association has vehemently denounced what he described as, quote, politically motivated threats that are unprecedented in recent history and absolutely unacceptable, end quote. Unfortunately, examples of these threats are not hard to find. Last year, someone threatened to plant a dirty bomb outside the FBI headquarters. Another attempted to storm the Cincinnati FBI field office while wearing body armor and carrying an AR-type rifle. A third was arrested after he made a credible threat, stating, quote, every single piece of expletive who works for the FBI in any capacity, from the director on down to the janitor who cleans their expletive toilets, deserve to die. You've declared war on us, and now it's open season on you, end quote. These allegations are deeply troubling, and I hope that the chairman and members of this subcommittee will be mindful of the risks that go hand in hand with heated rhetoric, a rush to accusations and subpoenas without a factual basis and without any effort to engage with agencies through the accommodation process flies in the face of due process and demeans congressional oversight process. It makes a mockery of our institution. As a former prosecutor, I'm even more troubled by the suggestion that the subcommittee may attempt to investigate ongoing criminal investigations. As the head of the Reagan Justice Department's Office of Legal Counsel wrote years ago, granting Congress access to information about active criminal investigations will, in effect, make Congress a partner in the investigation, creating a, quote, substantial danger that congressional pressures will influence in the course of the investigation and potentially, quote, hamper prosecutorial decision-making in future cases. This would not only damage law enforcement efforts, it would shake the public's confidence in the criminal justice system. I hope not, but I suspect much of the investigations the majority, my Republican colleagues, want to look into and potentially muck up involve criminal investigations into former President Donald Trump. I want to be crystal clear. My Democratic colleagues and I will resist any attempt by this subcommittee to derail ongoing, legitimate investigations into President Trump, any other president, and others within his orbit. During the course of this subcommittee's work, I suspect we will hear both members and witnesses describe the events of January 6, 2021 in ways that simply do not mesh with reality. When this happens, I would encourage everyone watching today to review the impeachment record and report of the January 6 Select Committee, which lays out the true facts in shocking detail. I recently sent a letter to the chairman noting that, despite our policy and political differences, I am hopeful that there may be matters of investigation within the stated mandate of the subcommittee under which we may collaborate. I meant this. I mean this. And I still hope that we can find common ground and explore it in a bipartisan manner that respects the due process rights and interests of all involved. The chair and his colleagues continually use the moniker of protecting free speech. That sounds good. I hope they all recognize that there is speech that is not constitutionally protected. Racist, hate, incitement to violence. And I also hope, and if the protection of true speech, of free speech, extends to all Americans. We'll see. I hope that we can use this subcommittee to conduct legitimate oversight to help advance policies to address the real challenges that Americans face every day, rather than undermine every agent, officer, and prosecutor on the job. Government abuses of power do not solely rest with the executive branch. It can, and we've seen it come from the legislative branch as well. On our present course, however, this exercise seems little more than a political stunt designed to inject extremist politics into the legislative oversight function and the justice system. The American people deserve better than that. Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I yield back.
Thank the ranking member. Without objection, all of their opening statements will